Sorry, say the name of the park again. The name of the park was?
Yasnegorka. Yasnegurka. Gorka. Yasnegorka. And we used to picnic there and swim in the nude because we couldn't afford bathing costumes, but we were kids, so what did we care? And the hardest part then was when I read this book, and it's called The Annihilation of the Lithuanian Jews. And in this book, it tells how they rounded up the Jews of Ponevezh in Yasnegorka. They made them dig a mass grave, shot them in the back of the head, and pushed them into the graves. And that, to me, was heartbreaking, because my family were there, and I knew them. My father had 3 sisters, a brother, nieces and nephews and grandparents. Can you believe the pain?
Was your family the only ones to survive out of your extended family?
No. My father had a brother in Russia, in Moscow. And as far as I know, he survived because he was in Russia. And he was quite well up in the Russian army. He was an officer in the Russian army. And then my father also had a brother in Israel. And his brother in Israel was a rabbi. And my father and his brother used to keep in touch through the parents. Once the parents were murdered, they weren't in touch with each other anymore. And my father was longing to know where his brother was. And his brother was longing to know where he was. Because the whole family had been murdered and they wanted to know about each other. So my uncle, the rabbi, was also the marriage officer for the district of Afula in Israel, which was quite a big district. One day a young man came to him he wants to get married. My uncle must marry him, but they must put up the banns, the notices of marriage. He says to him, where did you come from? They all speak Hebrew, of course. He comes from Drom Africa, South Africa. Oh, I've got a brother in Drom Africa, my uncle says. Do you know him? So this young man, whose name was Ben Hayam. Ben Hayam means son of the sea. When he came from South Africa to Israel, he came over the sea, so he called himself Ben Hayam. So this young man says, South Africa's a big place, how can I know your brother? But tell me, what's his name? He says, my brother is Zundel Levi. Well, this young man couldn't believe what he was hearing. Ben Hayam, he couldn't believe what he was hearing. Because he came from Muizenberg and my father came from Muizenberg. And everybody in Muizenberg knew each other. My father used to swim with them every morning in the ocean. Oh, he said, I know your brother. Write to your brother. Just write, Zundel Levi, Muizenberg, South Africa. And I promise you, he will get the letter. So that's exactly what happened. And I was living in London at the time, and I get a letter from my father. He's so excited. He's found his long-lost brother. Oh, and I get so excited. Oh, Dad, I'm in London, I write back. Don't you want me to go and visit him? So, and London is not far from Israel, not like South Africa. So Dad sent me 60 pounds. In those days, 60 pounds was a lot of money. So 60 pounds. I went across the channel to Paris. I took a train from Paris to Marseille. In Marseille, I caught a ship, an Israeli ship that was going to Haifa. 7 days aboard ship to get to Haifa. I get to Haifa and my cousin, Leah, Ben Sion's daughter, was waiting for me. I took a taxi and we went to Fatabor. I met my aunt for the first time, my uncle I'd never seen before, my cousins. And it was such a happy reunion. My aunt, her name was Esther, was such a kind woman and such a loving woman. And it was like my second home. And I didn't stay for 3 months, which I originally went for. I stayed for a year. I got myself a job in Haifa, which was the nearest town to Kfar Tabor, with an American firm of accountants. And every Friday at lunchtime, I used to catch the bus to go to Kfar Tabor, spend Shabbat with them, and every Sunday morning, because Sunday is a working day in Israel, I used to catch the early morning bus and go straight to work. And it was very nice. I had a very nice time there and was happy to be with my father's family. But, you know, comes a time you've got to go back.
How did they know to pick you up at the
I had
harbour?
written to them. I had written to them
By
to
letter?
tell them I was coming. Everything by letter. In those days there were no computers. This was in 1950.
I understand. There was no phones.
No phones, no internet.
So how did you know they got the letter?
Because they wrote back to say that they will meet me at the harbour in Haifa.
And
Yeah,
what
but-
about your father? Where did he come from?
My father also came from Ponebridge.
How come he
Was he born there?
I think so, but then you know what happened? In Lithuania, they were taken over by the Russians, and they were forced out of Lithuania. They had to go and live in Russia. And they went to live in a place called Penza. Now, Penza is 1,000 miles north of Moscow. Can you believe the cold? It was like being in Siberia. That's where my sister Mattie was born. My mother worked in a hospital as a nurse, and my father worked in the same hospital as an orderly, and that's where they met and got married. But then my father had to go into the Russian army. It was conscription, you didn't have a choice. So he goes into the Russian army, and he goes into the cavalry. He was a good horseman, and he's in the cavalry. And now they're out on maneuvers, and my father got a premonition. My father used to get premonitions, you know. He could suddenly foretell what was going to happen. And he got this premonition that the group he was with were going into an ambush. So he got off his horse. He took the saddle with him so that he could trade the saddle, and he let the horse go. The horse went back to the stables. The troop that he was with were all ambushed and murdered. So they wrote my mother a letter to say her husband is missing, believed dead. And my father sold the saddle for civilian clothes, and God knows had to walk from Russia to Lithuania, took God knows how many months to get there, sleeping in the fields and begging for food, no money. Anyway, got back to Lithuania and eventually managed to get a letter to my mother to say that he survived, he's not dead, and he's in Lithuania, and will she come to Ponebridge? To my mother, my sister Mattie, Mattie's name is Matis. They call her Matler in Yiddish. She's named after her uncle Matis, who was killed in Russia during the war.